So we're going over quiz 28. So the first, this is pretty easy because it's a multiple choice, but the constant ratio formula. What is the constant ratio formula? Do you remember that formula? Well, this is to recognize it. You know, sometimes we can't remember it because it's kind of complicated, but to recognize it, it's 2 times mi with over b times n plus 1. There's a parentheses here. So this is your constant ratio formula. And what are these letters? What represent what? When you're looking to fill in these letters here with numbers, what do you know? Well, the M is always going to be 12 months. That's the time. And the interest is going to be the amount of interest, right, that you have to pay. And then onto the principal. The principal is going to be base, which is B, means base. That's going to be your principal number. Your N is going to be those periods of time that are in months, or however, those periods of time that you have in months plus 1. So like say you say your loan is for 18 months. You put 18 as N and 12 would be M. And so you just fill in those blanks, and then you'll find the ratio. So a ratio, of course, is going to be a percentage, because it's going to be a fraction that turns into a percent. So this answer is going to be a ratio, percent. And so, in the simple interest, remember the simple interest is always, you need to memorize that, I equals PRT, right? We've done that in the last lesson. So now, number 2 says, which one of these is the compound interest formula? Number 1, you got that, 2mi equal bn plus 1 for number 1. C, right? And the compound interest formula now is going to be, which one? Compound interest. So it's not going to be the ratio. The ratio here is a fraction here, remember? It's not going to be the ratio. It's going to be the compound formula. Well, here it is. A equal P times, this is in parentheses, 1 plus R. These are parentheses. 1 plus R, and then you have an exponent N. So to know that, to recognize that that's your compound interest. This one, I always have to use calculator. In fact, a scientific calculator, because you have an exponent here. So you're going to find that A is your amount that you have, then you're going to use the principal, and then you're going to find, you know, as the ratio again, and then the N is going to be that many time periods that you have. You know, those different, like if it's quarterly, it'd be 4, or you know, how many time periods would be the N. So this is, if it's compounded, if your interest is compounded daily, then this number is going to be a big number, right? And you have to do it on a computer, or have to do it on a scientific calculator. But anyway, recognize this. That's amount with P, and then you have exponents. Compound interest is the one with the exponent. Number 3, the simple interest formula. Oh, we can recognize that. I hope you got that simple interest formula. I equals PRT. Make sure you memorize that. Number 4, the fee paid for the use of money. So, what is the fee when you borrow money? What do they charge you with? Interest, right? So interest is the fee that you're paying. So the fee that you're paying for the use of money is called your interest, you know, because they're charging interest. That's the fee. The other things in there, what does it say? It says interest, overdraft. Overdraft is when you write too many checks and you don't have enough money in the bank. Register is that your register that you're putting on your checkbook, to your checkbook register. And collateral. What's collateral? Collateral is basically what collateral is. You know, if you don't pay your bill, you have collateral backup, right? And so, and the principal is that money that you borrow, right? So number 5, the checkbook record is what? Oh, you should know that. What is the checkbook record called? The register, right? Those are not too hard. So now we're going on to number 6. So let's focus this in on number 6. Find the simple interest on $700 loan for 45 days at 15% interest. This is just very basic. So we're going to make sure we use this, right? Interest equals PRT. And time is always in years. So that's the problem with this one. Time, I just killed a mosquito, sorry. Time is always in years here. So this is the problem here. We have, principal is $700 times the rate. What was the rate? 15%. 15%, we're going to change that to 0.15. And then the years, it says here, it's going to be 45 days. It has to be a year. So we put 45 over 365 days. And then we're going to have to simplify that. So you can use a calculator on this one. So anyway, so when I went and simplified it as 9 over 73, because I simplified by dividing both sides by 5, and I got 9 over 73. And I times the 70 times 0.15, got 105 here, and then times 9 over 73. Well, now I took 9 over 73 and just divided it on my calculator. 9 divided by 73, and I got 0.123287 all the way here. And so now I times this by what? The 105, because 700 times 0.15 equals 105. So I times this out, multiply this, and I got this number, 12.9452055. So now you're going to simplify it just down and round it to the cent number, which is, you'll see this $12.95. I took the 4 and I rounded it to the higher number, so it came $12.95 would be the answer. The only thing hard, it's a simple problem. The only thing hard is that we have to do the time in years. So we had to do 45 over 365 days in a year, right? Because there was only for 45 days. So let's go on to the constant ratio formula we have for number 7. Use the constant ratio formula to find the approximate annual percentage rate to the nearest tenth of a percent. So we're going to have to use our calculator here for a $2,000 loan repaid in 12 payments with an interest charge of 180. So it looks like a lot of things. I just underlined those things in the problem as underlying the tenth of a percent, $2,000 loan, 12 payments with the interest charge. So now it says to use the constant ratio formula, right? So that's what we're going to do on this one. And remember the constant ratio formula? What was that? I hope you remembered. Here it is. 2mi b parentheses n plus 1. This is the constant ratio formula right here. And so we take this formula and we fill in. What does m? M is always going to be 12 months in this situation. So put 12 months because we're going by years. So this will always be 12 months. Now what's the n? What's the n? How many months does it say in here? It says repaid in 12 months. So n is going to be 12 months too. So m and n are both going to be 12 months. 12 months. And what is b? B is going to be the base. What's the base there? The base that we are dealing with for a $2,000 loan. $2,000 is going to be our base. So we have the base being $2,000. Now what's the interest? Well, they gave us the interest there too. The interest is the charge of $180. So we have everything we need to fill in the blanks. So let's fill in the blank. 2 times 12 times interest is 180. So 2 times 12 times 180. The base is 2,000. So 2,000 is the base. And then 12 plus 1, because n is 12, plus 1. So here we got 2 times 12 is 24 times 180. And then 2,000 times 13. So here's what I did. I figured this out. So I got 4320 when I multiplied 24 times 180. And 2,000 times 113, I got 26,000. Well, right away I can take off that 0 at the end because we're making a ratio. So I ended up, as I simpled it out, and you can do that too, is, you know, I divided here another and divided again, and I got 54 over 325. But then I went ahead and did this on my calculator. You can just do this on your calculator, or you can, as I divided it out, I tried to do it, you know, by hand because I didn't have a calculator. And so I said 54 divided by 325. And so my answer there that I got was 0.16615 on the calculator. But now I have to change it to percent. So to change this to percent, I go over, you know, 10 in a hundreds place to percent. So I get 16.6%. That's kind of the hardest one, I think, of these problems. But just fill them in, and then you can use the calculator if it gets complicated in the division part, and you have your answer. But always make sure you change it to percent, because the constant ratio has to be a percent. So 16.6%. And that's, you know, the rounded out percent. As you round it out, it was 0.1665, and then I rounded it to 0.1666 and moved the decimal point over for the percent. I got 16.6%. Number 8. Find the interest due after 6 months for a $1,000 deposit at 6% rate of interest paid semi-annually. So we have, again, now we have your PRT. So what is the PRT for this? We have to find the interest. Interest equals PRT, principal, rate, and time. This one you have memorized, right? And so find the principal, and the principal is $1,000. So we have $1,000 for the principal. The rate is, what is the rate? The rate's at 6%. What is 6%? Well, we round it to decimals, put equal 0.06. So we put 0.06 to decimals so that we can figure this out. And then what is, for how long period of time did they say? Semi-annually. What's semi-annually? Semi means 1/2 a year, right? So 1/2 of a year would be 0.5. You know, 1/2 round to 0.5. So now we can figure this out. So we multiply, you know, here's P was 1,000, 6% right here, 6 months. So now as we're figuring that's 1,000 times, I just did 30. Make sure you keep your decimals. That's where you get the mistake. So you have 0.6 times 0.5, which I did that, which would be 30. And then we have 1, 2, 3 places. So I moved over 1, 2, 3 places. And so I now have 1,000 times 30. So I move back those 3 places and I get $30. That was not too hard. Number 9. Find the interest earned on $1,000 for 1 year at 6% rate of interest when the interest is compounded quarterly. Remember that you do not drop decimal places until the last power has been found. Then find to the 4th place. Get out your calculator for this one. This one's the hardest one. You know, but basically you're going to use your compounded, you're going to use this formula, remember? So you want to find the amount. It says find the amount of interest earned on $1,000 compound quarterly. Remember, compound, you have this little exponent here. So we have the principal being $1,000. So I put in $1,000 for the principal, and then 1 plus R. What is the rate? It's the rate's at what is the rate? Is at 6. This is the problem here. Right here. So you have compounded quarter. You're like, well, the rate for 1 year is 6%. So we have to take out of that 6%, we have to divide it by 4 because we're doing quarterly. So I divided it by 4 down here. So you have your 6%, and then you divide it by 4. I don't know why I put that. That's not there. So, and I got 0.015. So instead of putting the 6% in here for the rate, we would think to put 6%, but since it's quarterly, we have to put 1/4 of that in there. So I put 0.15 in there. And then to the n. So what's n mean? N means how many times do we have? Again, n means we're going to have 4 times. So, you know, you're going to have to put, you're going to have to times this by n, which is going to be 4, right? So this whole thing you got to do in a calculator, because this is an exponent, it means 1.015 times 1.015 times 1.015 times 1.015, 4 times. So to do this on the calculator, that way you can find it. That's the hardest one of all these questions. Number 10, find the current balance of $485.29 is deposited into account with the balance of $97.93. What an easy problem they put at the end, because they just gave you a hard one, huh? So basically we have the balance. What would they tell you the balance? You have a balance of $97.93, and then you're going to deposit some money in there. So how much money do you have? There you go. So let's stop on that one.